Can sound really reduce stress, heal trauma, and alleviate diseases? Well, today's guest is going to share some secrets to vibrational healing. Welcome to HAVILAH Friends. I'm your host, HAVILAH Malone, and every week I bring you inside my amazing world of mindfulness teachers, inspirational speakers, business experts, celebrities, and so much more to have the conversations that matter to you. And today's guest is the founder of Grove Circle Healing, and she shares her passion as a professional energy worker and healer through meditation circles, through professional sound healing sessions, as well as supporting plant medicine ceremonies. And she also uses flower essences in her healing work, which really helps her clients to tap into their innate powers and help cure themselves and live better, more empowered lives. So please welcome my good friend, Chris Young Ginzburg. Hello.
Hey.
Oh, I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Girl, you do amazing work. Like, I remember connecting with you at a plant ceremony, and just the energy that you bring to a room, the work that you do, which is so integral to our growth. And I really want to be able to share you with our audience, because when you find something good, you want to be able to share it with other people. And you've been in this healing work for many, many years. And I just really want to be able to kind of set a foundation on, what drew you to energy work? Like, why is that important?
Wow. Well, my journey, I think, it began for me a really long time ago. And believe it or not, it was like when I moved to, oh no, you know what? My computer says it's going to restart. Oh no, why is it saying that? Don't. That was weird. Okay, cancel, clear, delete that, whatever that was. Thank God I got a warning rather than just like a pew, bye.
Move that out of the energy field.
Right, right. Speaking of energy work, get the heck out of here. Okay. That was hilarious. Okay, let's do a wiki rewind. Okay. Okay. So anyway, going back to your question, like what drew me to energy work? Well, in my ancestry, like in my mom's side and even in my dad's side, there's always been healers around. Like I had an aunt who was a Reiki healer and a cousin who was a Reiki healer. My dad, who was always kind of a natural healer, who would just kind of draw people in and like have this like healing way of talking to people. And then my mom was a natural psychic. She was a psychic dreamer. And then I was a pretty intuitive kid. I mean, I believe personally that we're all born psychic. We just get programmed and all of these belief systems and all this stuff could shut down. Next thing you know, we're like, we kind of forget ourselves. So anyway, my mom kind of promoted it when I was a kid, and it had always been with me. But when I moved to California, I was born in California when I was little, but then we moved to the East Coast and I personally chose to move back to California, the San Francisco Bay Area in 2002. I was here maybe a year or so, and I'm also a dancer. So I was like pursuing dance and doing things like that. But I felt the super strong, like, guidance to learn how to meditate and to, first of all, get a Reiki healing. So I got my first Reiki healing, even though my aunt and cousin, I never got a session from them. I don't know why, but I got my first Reiki healing.
We have stuff like here in our own family. We're like,
I know. I'm like, whatever, So I got it in 2003. And I have to tell you, what happened for me in that session was profound, because I was laying down, and when the practitioner was working on my heart chakra, the area of the heart, had my eyes closed, and I could feel the energy moving through me. I saw the image of this man standing on top of me with a rock, crushing me to death. And I was a past life, obviously. And then when I came out of the experience, I was like, what the hell is that? And when I started to speak it out loud and to share the vision that I got, all this energy started surging through my hands. And it was like an awakening happened. It was like, boom. Something was just like, you need to start pursuing this. And not too long after that, I was like, I need to learn how to meditate. And I was so enamored that the Bay Area had psychic schools, because Where I grew up in Georgia, like there was no way any of that was happening back in the early 2000s, you know, or at least I didn't know about it. And so I decided to go to the Berkeley Psychic Institute, where I learned how to do some psychic meditation. And it just completely opened me up in a lot of different ways, which led me later to body work and energy work, which led me later to doing plant ceremonies, which were always kind of calling me, and then which led me to sound healing, you know, and then flower essences. So it's like it began, I would really say, with that first Reiki healing, the opening. And then when I went to psychic school, and it was like, it was like, you know, it was really like layer upon layer upon layer. Things were peeling back, which were leading me. And it was just a guidance that I felt. And I feel like we all kind of get that. Just to kind of interrupt myself really quickly, because my dad, he always had a great quote when it came to guidance. And he always said that how you know when it's your spirit is when you feel a guidance. And then when you know it's your ego, you feel a push. So isn't that good?
That's so profound.
That's my papa. God bless him. He passed away last October. So he would drop some gems, man. So that was a gem that I would kind of always kind of drop little things with my clients, or like when I was teaching a workshop, like that was something that always really resonated with me and stuck. So for anyone who's listening and watching, like that's a good quote to follow when it comes to like you questioning whether, do I really feel like I need this? Is this a push or is it a guidance? It's more gentle when it's spirit.
And it's so interesting you say that, because even when you look at the definition of inspiration, it's pull, like you feel like you are guided towards something, and motivation is actually when you're pushed towards it, like you have to make it happen. And we do have that internal guidance system, that internal voice that's, you know, helping us to go down the path that we need to become our greatest selves. And it's, are you listening to it? Like, but I think a lot of people fall into a place where when it comes to energy work, when it comes to all of these layers, as you spoke of, there's a lot of fear because of the unknown and because of it not being such a common, you know, you had a really amazing benefit of coming up in a household where those, you know, types of conversations and type of work was supported and talked about. And it was just like kind of a commonplace thing, but especially, you know, like the South and different. It is totally like off the table, period.
No way.
What advice would you give to people to help them move past that fear of the unknown so they can tap into that guidance and get to these tools that are so impactful?
Yeah, I would say first of all is whatever makes you feel quiet. So meaning like if you go into meditation, and meditation can take many forms. It can be artwork, it can be journaling, it can literally be sitting quietly, not doing anything. You know, it can be sometimes, I mean, you go out, you take a quiet walk, and then you interact with a person that comes and says something to you that's unexpected, and you're like, oh, you leave the conversation, you're like, that was not a person, that was an angel like coming to me or something, you know? So I think also too, it's about if you sort of put it out there, even there's no such thing as out there, but you know, the idea of being out there, because we are in a, you know, dualistic universe being here in this dimension. Yes, that you want to get more information on what that is for you, and to trust with a capital T, however it comes to you. It can be like synchronicity of like consistent messages. It can be a butterfly landing on your finger. It can be like a conversation that you hear in the background. It can be like a message popping up on your computer. You know, it can be synchronicity of any form, and everyone receives information differently. It's not one way. You know, that's the beauty of this universe too, is that there's a multitude of ways that it can happen. So I say first learn how to get quiet in whatever form that takes for you, and to put it out there. Like, you know, if you want to take literally like 10 seconds and just sort of, you know, go into, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths and just say, okay, soul, universe, God, goddess, whatever the supreme being is that you call in, whatever your guides, ancestors, plants, what have you, I want to know what it is that you want to show me about myself, or what it is that I need to be guided on, you know, and just then let it go.
Amen.
Let it go, because you never know when it's going to show up. It can be immediate. It could be 5 days later. It could be a year later. And just to learn to be patient with yourself, because everyone's on their own timeline and there's no rush. We're infinite beings. We're infinite. We got lots of time.
Yes. And trust the journey. Just trust the unfolding, the messages that come through in the way that they come through to you. Because I think a lot of times we look for confirmation through other people.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this happened, is that weird? Is it normal or whatever? And it may be something that resonates with somebody else, and it may not be. It may just be a unique way of your communication with the universe, source, whatever it is you want to call it. And so to be able to trust that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and it's going to unfold just the right way for you. Like, I love that. And so you use a lot of really amazing tools to be able to get to this place of healing. And one of those, which I absolutely love, is sound healing. And so I want you to just tell everybody, what is sound healing?
So I kind of developed learning more about sound healing actually through bodywork school when I went to the World School of Massage in San Francisco in the mid-2000s. And when we were doing this amazing bodywork that I was a professional in called Vibrational Healing Massage Therapy. And there was 4 layers of it, and one layer of the training was sound. And you would literally use your voice to project like the vowels like A, E, I, O, U, or like different sounds into people's energy bodies, like into their chakra system or their physical body. And you would break apart energy literally with your voice. So that's kind of where it began for me, which was super transformative. And the sounds that come through, you're like, that is the craziest sound. But hey, vibration is vibration. It's going to do what it needs to do, how it needs to do it. And you just got to learn how to let go and trust it, But then I started getting into plant ceremonies in 2014, and I had one really profound experience where one of the plants was working with me one night, and it's this tree called Noyorao, and she woke me up to drumming. I just get chills. Oh, I love that tree. She's a tree, and she says, "You're going to start to sing and drum." And I'm like, "I am?" And she's like, "Yes." On meditation, and not too long after that, I was singing and drumming, doing some sound bowls, which I can demo in a little bit. And, so it really began to, I think, in the physical manifestation of using instruments with plants in the plant ceremony.
I love it. And that sound, that vibration, it interacts with the energy that is going on in our bodies. So whether there's energy that's stuck somewhere, then it helps to kind of break that up and get things moving through those chakras in different areas of the body, and can literally lead to, healing and breaking up diseases and move, because everything just needs to flow. And if it's not flowing properly, then that's where we get into trouble. And so I would love if you can just kind of walk us through, like, if someone came to do a sound healing session, like, what would someone experience? Kind of walk us through what that journey is. And I know there's different types of sound tools. You spoke of like using your voice to actually speak into areas of the body. There's the crystals, all kind of really cool stuff. So just kind of
so much
experience be like.
Sure. So if you're coming into a sound healing, for instance, whether it's a private one or a group one, I mean, whether you feel anything or not, things are going on, things are happening, because first of all, our body and spirit, they're made of light and sound. So when you are connecting with that intention, it like aligns you with what your natural state is. So for instance, like if you come to do a sound healing, like the bowls in particular, this is a quartz crystal bowl. These things are pretty resonant, they're pretty loud, and they're pretty strong frequency. And also it's a crystal, it's a quartz crystal, which are pretty powerful beings for healing. This will resonate in the body, and you can feel, some people experience literal vibrations. They can feel like energy surging through their bodies. They can get hot, they can get cold, they can get imagery, they can get messages. They can feel like they're literally not in their bodies anymore. Like some bowls will send people straight out to the cosmos. It's really dependent upon the person and how sensitive you are. But like I was mentioning, I always tell people in these sound journeys, like, even if you don't feel anything, something's happening. So just, again, trust it and allow it to happen. So, and with the drums, especially the animal skin drums like I have, they're very grounding. And these things have been with us since the dawn of time. The tribes people, all of our ancestors on many different forms have been using these instruments since the dawn of time. And when you hear them, there's like something intrinsically in your DNA that just kind of wakes up and has this knowingness like, oh, I know this medicine. I know what this sound is. I know when it does. And drums are usually really grounding. They're really grounding for the body. They're really earthy. They're really like, boom, bring you into the physical body. So each instrument has its own way of working with you. And some instruments will annoy you. Like you won't be able to stand them. They'll make you angry. And that's what they're doing is they're pulling out all that stuff. So again, like if you find an instrument, you're like, oh, like it actually might be really good for you because later on you might feel better after you work with it.
Oh, wow. So like instead of, avoiding it, kind of like lean into it and then let that come out, experience it so they can get out of it.
Yeah, like a real quick example was I just did a sound healing like last month with my friend Rhonda, and this woman we had this, I forget what it's called. It's like some sort of like instrument. It kind of looks like a UFO, and it's got like beads in it, and you tilt it back and forth, and it's got rotating sea drum or something like that, and it sounds like rain, rain, rain. And she came up to us afterwards, and she was like, "I hated that thing because it reminded me so much of the tsunamis that were in Asia not too long ago." And we were like, oh, that's amazing because you can really work with that energy. It really brought that up for you so you can cleanse and release it. And then she was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. She just wanted to repel it instantly, So that's what I like to put out as an invitation. Not that anyone has to do anything they don't want to do, because if something makes them feel horrible, then please don't make them do it. But, the invitation is that, we're so taught as a culture that if something doesn't feel good, we want to just like run for the hills, to just play with the idea of kind of sitting with it a little bit longer and like coming outside of the sensation of like, being an observer to it and just going, okay, I feel this. I'm just going to take the story away for a minute and get curious about it. Like even Eckhart Tolle, he talks about like addiction, going into the feeling, like the feeling of addiction, like get curious about it. Like, what is this thing? What does it feel like? Like, why am I feeling this way? So I just like to put that out there too for sound.
As you were saying that, it really reminded me of like when you do a detox and when you detox, like all of the gunk that is inside of your body, it does start to come out. Like it can come out in pores and like breakouts. It can come out, in all kind of different ways through bowel movements, but it's about getting it out. So when you are going through, if you have a sound experience and that sound is irritating, it could be the detoxing of whatever that root cause is, which is necessary to get clean. So
absolutely. I got to tell you real quick on another little note, when I was going through psychic school, I was really working with some old like past life religious stuff. And I remember I was sitting in one meditation and they were doing like these church bells and I was getting so angry. I just wanted to run out of there. I was like, oh, but I knew that it was something coming up that I really needed to be aware of and just go, oh, okay, well, that's that. I'm here in present time. That's not happening to me now. All is well, So again, I just wanted to say like, it's something nice to practice because this is a metaphor for life too. Things come up. You can apply this to life, like rather than like, I'm out of here. Like, wait a minute, let me look at that for a minute. Like, what is that? What is that trying to show me? Like, how is this serving me in this moment?
Absolutely.
So
it is the questions that we ask ourselves that create our life, and it really matters. And speaking of things that matter, going into any type of energy work, and especially in sound healing, you want to be able to set an intention. And so I want you to talk a little bit about why intention matters.
Well, I think it's the idea of focus. When you're kind of like out there and you're kind of living your life, which is fine. There's no right or wrong to anything. You can kind of be a little ungrounded, but when it comes to doing work like this, I think if you come like to a sound session and you have something specific to work on, the energy can support you best that way, and me as a practitioner or facilitator of the sound, we can help focus that energy for you so it can target exactly what you need.
They say where focus goes, energy flows.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So I would love if you could do like a little demo of some sound healing and kind of give us feel
Yeah.
for what it's like.
Yeah. So this is, again, I'll just tilt my computer down just a little bit so you guys can see her. This is a beautiful crystal bowl. This is for the sacral chakra, which is right below the belly button. And the sacral chakra, or the second chakra, is all about relationships, sexuality, creativity. I think that's it. There could be something else in there, but my pregnancy brain is not allowing me to remember all of that right now. But anyway, so this is going to resonate with the lower pelvic area for both men and women. And so I also wanted to bring in a koshi chime. These are amazing. And there's 4 different ones. They're all different elements: earth, air, fire, water, and this one is earth. So I'll do a little bit of the sound bowl, and then I'll do a little bit of the chime afterwards. Okay. So would you like me to begin now?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So since we are working with the second chakra, for anyone who's watching or listening, if there's anything in that area of relationship, sexuality, creativity that you want to work on, you can kind of close your eyes and just receive the sound and feel the vibrations or not, or whatever it is that you pick up on. You know, pay attention to any imagery that comes to you, any thoughts, any people. It's all related to this experience. Okay, so here we go. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh,
Wow. Even as that was,
I just got crazy vibration.
like I felt like this peace, like this ease, like this kind of like sinking into my body, into myself. I felt it in my head, and then it vibrating through my body. And for those of you who are listening, I'd love to be able to hear how you felt that, like where it resonated for you. And we take for granted sometimes just like simple things, that and how powerful sound can be to be able to help us to really get into, like, back into our bodies and back into that sense of self and to heal. So thank you for that. Like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. And it's such an honor to do this work. And, anyone can do sound stuff. I mean, you can buy these online. You can get a drum, even your body is a sound equipment. You can sound into your own body. So we have our body's an instrument. You are an instrument of light and sound. So it's, the instruments on the outside, like these guys, they only enhance that.
Yes. We are instruments of light and sound. I love
it. That's a good quote. That's a good one. Yes.
And then 2, you also work with flower essences to be able to support in healing. So can you just share a little bit about like what that is and how they're used? Yes.
Yay! So these are my little pals. I have 7 or 9 of them right now. They're on my Etsy shop, and you just look up Grove Circle. But I learned about flower essences in my holistic practitioner program that I did through the World School of Massage in the mid-2000s. But these things go back ancient times. And so flowers, they work, or the flower essence rather, it works with the subtle body. So they're kind of like in the background, and they are very gentle. They work with the emotions, the spirit, and the mind. Not so much the physical. They're not really, because that's more like what tinctures are, where you literally extract like the plant medicine, and then you kind of ingest it, and then it will work with the physical body. Although sometimes it works for people on the physical, but most times it's mostly energetic. And each one that I do has an intention. Like this one is like, I am absolute joy. So, and if you're wanting to have more joy, you can work with them. And you literally take just a few drops and you put it under your tongue. They're ingested. Or you can put it in your bathtub, on your food, in your water. You can give them to your plants. Like, people do all kinds of fun things with them. And I always tell people, like, trust how you're wanting to use them, because the flowers will eventually tell you how they want you to work with them. But if you buy any of them, the best way to use them, depending on what the intention is I tell people, is to hold it to your heart and ask a question related to how you can have more joy in your life, or whatever the intention is with whatever essence that you're working with, and wait for an answer. Sometimes you'll get a message or an image or a thought, and just trust whatever comes. And then you ingest it. That way you can really pay attention and work with them on a more focused level. But yeah, they're amazing. And I've been working with them for years, and they have, they're all in my Etsy shop. I think I have 9 of them right now, 9 different ones. So yeah, and if anyone has any questions, they can just email me or message me, and how to work with them, or if they have anyone in particular, they're like, I don't know which one I need. And we can kind of talk a little bit about, which one I feel would be supportive to you regarding like whatever it is that you're working on particularly. But I've had some pretty profound things happen with these things. Do I have a time to tell you a quick story?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So there was one that I made a few years back, and it was called the Goddess Gaia, because I also do events and performances relating to Mother Nature with a company that my husband and I created called Follow the Trees. And I did an essence specifically for the show that was called the Goddess Gaia, and it was honeysuckle. And so I did this workshop related to the Goddess Gaia, and my friend and her daughter and her other friend came to the workshop, and her daughter drank the whole bottle.
Oh, Lord.
But it was wine, it's not going to hurt you. It's, it's like, I was like, and she came to me, she's like, she drank the whole bottle. I was like, hey, whatever, the flowers wanted it to happen. And it tasted really good. So, she was like, oh. But the beautiful thing is, though, talk about getting the inner guidance, is so after the workshop, they went to eat pizza at this like place across the street. They all ate the same pizza. The 2 girls who didn't have any of the essence got food poisoning, and the little girl did not.
Wow.
I know. I was just like, wow, like it's amazing. Like I just sit back half the time and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Like some people have such a resonance with essences and, the flowers, and that, magical and miraculous things happen, and they're great to give to animals. They're subtle. You can give them. And the ones that I use, or I put vegetable glycerin. Most people will put brandy. They last a lot longer with brandy, but I say keep them in the fridge. They'll last for like a year or 2. But you may find that you get through this in a month. You may need it sporadically. You may need it more, like however you feel like you need it. But yeah, you can give it to animals too. The animals work with flower essences really well.
And it's all about like having the tools to support you in your journey. And so this is one of the really amazing tools to work with those subtle bodies and work with those subtle energies within yourself or even your loved pets. So
yes,
that's great to be
absolutely.
able to know. And I want to ask you, because you were actually embarking upon an amazing journey into motherhood. And so congratulations on that. And in regards to it, I want to know if there was just one lesson that you could teach and leave with your daughter, and you wanted her to embrace and learn that would help serve her for her life, what would that one lesson be?
Oh, what a good question. I would just say, follow your passion from when you can remember it beginning, and don't let anything get in the way of that passion and focus. Because for me, I would say, like, I've always been dancing and singing ever since I was a kid. I was around my mom. She did the same thing. And, life came up and different responsibilities and the heaviness of life, and then and it's all perfect, right? However, if I had that focus throughout my entire life, I know I would have probably experienced or had more experiences that I would have enjoyed. So and not to say that my life hasn't been enjoyable. It's been absolutely in its own way. Yet as her mother, since I didn't have that, the contrast, I'm going to be giving that to her and supporting her focus and her passion, and being really aligned with, like, reminding her, like, are you doing what you really love to do? So that's some advice that I would pass along to her, because my parents, they were amazing, and they all, they had their own things going on. They had their own traumas and stuff. and they didn't fully really support my passion. I kind of had to find it on my own. And that was really difficult as a child growing up and into adulthood. And, you know, that time in my life, I kept trying to like find it. And I'd focus for a little while, but then I'd get distracted, and I'd focus for a little while and then I'd get distracted. So as her parent, I'm going to be consistently in her life, just showing up like, are you following your passion? Are you following your excitement? Are you doing what you want to do? Like, are you on that path? Like, are you having fun? Not in a way where it's like militant, but just as gentle reminders, like, you know, because that's something that didn't happen for me.
To follow your passion. I love that. And please tell and share with everybody how they can follow you and get in touch with you and get some of your amazing products and services.
Yeah. So my company, again, is called Grove Circle Healing. And my email address is grovecirclehealing@gmail. Feel free to send me a message if you have any questions about sound healing or flower essences. I'm happy to, you know, converse with you about that. And my Etsy shop is, so it's Etsy and it's Grove Circle. You can find that just like with a little search. It'll take you right to my shop. And yeah, that's how you can find me. And so come talk. I love talking to people and, you know, connecting. So yeah, reach out. I'm here.
And we loved talking to you. So thank you so much. And
thank you, Havilah.
My pleasure. And we know when we share our stories, we get to live, to learn, and to love a little bit more. And it's your time to be proof of what's possible. I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of HAVILAH and Friends. I'm your host, HAVILAH Malone. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. And we can't wait to see you next week.